Fight on social media, one candidate, Mr. Stephen Jones, declined our invitation, citing other commitments on this evening. Boy, I miss Roger Larson at this point. A decision he has since used to cast doubt on our impartiality and our intentions. As I've said before, the truth will set you free, but first it will make you miserable. We must seek truth and hold ourselves accountable. Tonight, I want to acknowledge that the original flyer that caused some confusion, but it was never our intent to mislead. It clearly stated that all candidates had been invited. And while we cannot compel their attendance, we can extend our hand in goodwill. I am proud to announce that in the spirit of goodwill, all the candidates, Democrat and Independents, have been invited for tonight's debate. Two are here tonight. I would like to extend my heartfelt gratitude to Mr. Leroy Brooks and Mr. Bill Strauss for their commitment to participate in tonight's debate. Your willingness to engage with our community is deeply appreciated. And to our veteran journalists, thank you. Your unwavering dedication to providing a platform for this vital conversation is much needed, and we owe you a debt of gratitude. Lastly, I want to thank each and every one of you in the audience, whether you are seated here with us or tuning in from your home. This debate will be live streamed on Facebook, our social media platforms, and I think you can find it on the mayor's page, sir. Your engagement, your questions, and your passion for the city of Columbus are what truly matters. Together, let's listen, learn, and make informed choices about our future. Let's begin this important dialogue. Thank you all. At this time, I'm going to introduce our moderators for tonight. We are honored to have three distinguished journalists moderating tonight's debate, each bringing a wealth of experience, dedication, and insightfulness to the table. Their impressive careers have made significant impacts on the communities they serve. We look forward to their guiding hands in facilitating a meaningful discussion. Up first, we have Joey Barnes, news director, anchor from WCBI News. With nearly 20 years of dedicated service to North Mississippi and West Alabama, Joey Barnes has established himself as a prominent voice in local journalism. His journey began at WCBI as an intern in 2002, and he quickly rose through the ranks to become a senior reporter. After gaining valuable experience at WLBT in Jackson and a stint in Davenport, Iowa, he returned to WCBI in 2013 to lead as news director while anchoring the 6 p.m. newscast alongside Andrea Self. Joey's impactfulness reporting has included critical coverage of natural disasters such as the devastating tornadoes of 2011, and he played a pivotal role in advocating for the ban of, is that Salvia? Salvia in Mississippi, okay. His work has been recognized with numerous awards from Mississippi Associated Press, broadcasting associations. Beyond news, Joey connects deeply with the community, often highlighting his culture and spirit from the Shelby County Fair to the Mississippi State Fair. Outside of journalism, he enjoys spending quality time outdoors with his family in the Golden Triangle. You all give it up for Mr. Joey Barnes. Next, we have Zach Plair, managing editor for the Commercial Dispatch. Zach Plair brings over 20 years of journalism experience to tonight's debate. As the managing editor for the Commercial Dispatch in Columbus for the past 9 years, Zach has honed his skills in reporting on local news that matters mostly to the community. His leadership has been instrumental in shaping the news landscape in Columbus and Lowndes County. Zach's career is marked by a commitment to ethical journalism and community engagement. He balances his professional life with family and his wife, Amelia. Teaches high school English, and they are proud parents to 3 daughters. Zach's insights and understanding of local dynamics will add depth to the debate, ensuring that the voices of the community are heard. Give it up for Mr. Zach. Next, we have Ms. Tanya Carter, anchor from WTVA News. Tanya Carter is an award-winning journalist whose career has spanned over 15 years, during which she has made her mark as a reporter and anchor at WTVA 9 News. Since joining the team in 2016, she has excelled in delivering timely and impactful news coverage, anchoring several key broadcasts. Prior to WTVA, Tanya spent 13 years at WABG TV 6, where she served as assistant news director and covered major events ranging from natural disasters to high-profile political figures, including then Senator Barack Obama. Her commitment to journalism has earned her accolades from the Mississippi Associated Press and the Mississippi Crime Stoppers Association. Tanya's dedication extends beyond reporting. She has been recognized by the FBI with the Director's Community Leadership Award for her efforts in fostering relationships between law enforcement and the media. An active community member, Tanya supports numerous charitable initiatives, including fundraising for the March of Dimes and St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital. Her passion for storytelling is matched only by her commitment to improving her community. Give it up for Ms. Tanya Carter. Together, Joey, Tanya, and Zach will guide tonight's discussion with professionalism and a commitment to fostering an informative and respectful dialogue. We look forward to their expertise and insight as they moderate this important event. And I release the podium. I turn it over to our moderators. Thank you all so much.
Thank you so much. Now we're good. All right. Thank you so much. Good evening, Mr. Brooks and
Good evening.
Mr. Strauss.
Good evening.
Before we begin, I would like to review the rules for the debate. You will be given 3 minutes for an opening and closing statement. You will be given 2 minutes to answer each question. Please listen for your time when it has expired. Moderators will alternate between candidates as to who will answer each question. The series of questions will be broken into 4 categories: crime, economic development, quality of life, and administration. There will also be some questions from the audience. And audience members, you may submit questions up here up front, even during the debate. I know a few of you already have. We flipped a coin earlier to decide who will begin opening statements and be given the first question. And Mr. Brooks, you may begin with your opening statement.
Good evening. Before I make an opening statement, I'd like to walk out front so you all can see what a mayor looks like. You're a mayor. I am Leroy Brooks, a native of Lowndes County. I was born and reared on Motley Road out in the prairie that I fondly like to refer to as Motley Road. I graduated from Caldwell High School, joined the United States Air Force. I felt a call to duty. I came back and attended Mississippi State, working a full-time job, taking care of my family. When I graduated, I went to work for the city, helping to set up the first office of federal programs. I got elected when I was 30 years old. When most folks was out playing in the sandbox, I was in there trying to make a change. And for 41 years, I have remained steadfast in improving the quality of life in this community. Despite all the trials, tribulations, and challenges, every time I got knocked down, I got up because I'm that kind of guy. And so here I am at this juncture in my life, feeling another call to duty. And I say to you, there is no candidate in this race that has the experience, the knowledge, the training, and the wisdom that I bring to the table. And so I humbly offer myself to you to be your next mayor. I can walk into City Hall tomorrow and begin to start. I don't need on-the-job training. I don't have to go to a lot of schools. I understand politics and government. I'm a former college instructor, Mississippi State, Mississippi University for Women, and Troy State. So I bring to you a plethora of not only academic knowledge, but practical knowledge about government. All of you all know who I am. You don't have to get to know me. I am the person that can get on a plane tomorrow. I can go anywhere in these United States of America, and I can stand boldly and represent Columbus, Mississippi, because that's who I am. I have a vast network throughout this state. There's not a county you can go in the state of Mississippi that don't know Leroy Brooks. I have spent years training other elected officials throughout the state. I am fondly referred to as the Dean of Supervisors. So I say to you on April the 1st, there is only one choice. If you are willing and want to move this city forward, there is only one choice. Consider where we are as a house that once sat on a great hill that everybody came to see, and because of neglect, it's fallen down. Not externally, but internally. So it's time to rebuild the house.
Time.
Thank you.
Well, we have one difference already because June 3rd is the date I'm looking at. Good evening. Thank you for the invitation to this debate, to debate the most important issues to Columbus and its citizens. My name is Bill Strauss, and I will state my case why I should be your next mayor. First, I'm not a politician. I'm a businessman, an entrepreneur, developer, and realtor. I think that's good attributes. I came to Columbus in 1981, but have family ties back to 1940, when my grandfather came to Columbus and started a business here. My mother graduated Lehigh, and I returned here to pursue the family business. My resume: manager and owners of Ruth's, Jean Ann's, and the Fashion Barn. I'm sure many of you remember these stores. They were in the community for 65 years, household names here. In 2005, I became a realtor working with Caldwell Banker West Realty Company and Don West for 20 years now. My family started Cafe on Main. It continues under different ownership today. Starting in 2005, the Ruth's building, which is now where Cafe on Main and Justin's Jewelry is, was redeveloped into retail space on the first floor and the basement, and 13 apartments in the upper floors. I had the plans drawn up, hired my builders, completed the project in 2 years, encompassing 20,000 square feet of building. My business experience is deep. Business accounting such as making payrolls, paying invoices, selecting and purchasing product for our stores, hiring, sometimes firing personnel. At one time, we had a staff of nearly 100 people in our stores. Everyone in town knows someone who worked at Ruth's, Jean Ann's, or the Fashion Barn. We ran a quality store, and that's what everybody remembers. I've run a business from top to bottom while being a good community partner. And now I want to bring these skills to the city of Columbus as your mayor. The future of our city is about taking care of citizens and taking care of the business of our great city. We must all work together to keep our city safe and clean. We must create an atmosphere that will draw people and business to our community. With your help, our city can live up to its reputation as a friendly city. People-friendly, business-friendly, clean and prosperous. We must be good stewards of your tax dollars and get the city's work done efficiently and always with an eye towards quality. As a realtor and businessman, I know how important it is for a first impression can be to clients and businesses wanting to relocate in our city. The proper look tells our visitors that Columbus is open for business. Now, we can only achieve our goals by working together. No one person can do everything alone. And that's the motto of my campaign, is better together. I look forward to answering your questions tonight, showing you my vision for the city of Columbus. I humbly ask for your vote on June the 3rd, 2025. Thank you.
Okay, so we're going to start with our first question category, which is crime. Mr. Strauss, you'll get first opportunity. You'll go first answering the first question.
Okay.
Mr. Brooks will get 2 minutes to respond with his answer. The first question is, the city has a consistent, often significant police officer shortage. What do you see as the root causes of that? And what would be your plan for retaining officers and building up the department's equipment?
Well, I think that there definitely is. I think we're about 20 or 25 short, and that is a problem. I think that's a nationwide problem, which doesn't help us here. Chief Joe, as I like to call him, I think he's doing a fine job, and I think he's hasn't been here, I think it's about 2 years now, if I recall. And I think that he is building the department, and I'm 100% behind him. I think that he's doing a good job as far as, lessening the violent crime in our community. Do we have too much crime? Yes. Can we eliminate it all? We hope so, but maybe that's not possible. We can't eliminate everything. But I stand behind him, and I think that we need to give him the tools. We need to give him more cameras, more technology. And I know that they have gone to computers in the cars, which has helped, but we do need to back them with resources to have the funds so that they can bring in new officers to the department.
Mr. Brooks.
I think the question was about why is there a constant turnover and shortage. One of the things I would do as mayor, I would take 60 days and do an assessment of the department, and I would look at the police department as a separate entity. I would want the chief and the command staff to come in and sit down and talk to them and ascertain how do they view the police department. I'd like the time to meet with the boots on the ground officers in a setting that they can speak candidly about what the problems are. I don't think any of us understand what the problems are. So the only way, throwing money and equipment and all of that doesn't always solve the situation. We've got to understand why people are leaving. Are there internal problems? Is there a morale problem? Is there something wrong with this police department? No one has done that. So that is what I would do. I would call the chief, his command staff in. Let's talk about the police department. What are the problems? Why are they leaving? And can we stop the hemorrhaging? And if it's a situation where we can't, then we have to look at where do we make changes.
Do we have a rebuttal time? Just one. Oh, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Brooks.
No.
Sorry. How are you both doing?
Doing great, thank you.
Can everyone hear me?
I can hear you.
I don't think it's up very loud, but
Yeah, it's not.
I don't think it's working.
Thank you. When it comes to crime, particularly here in the city of Columbus, there's a lot of gun violence. And one thing as a journalist, I hate to report on repeat offenders. It seems like they're in and out, in and out, in and out, always committing crimes. So what is your plan if elected mayor? How would you address gun violence and repeat offenders in Columbus? Mr. Brooks.
I served as the chairman of the Crime Prevention Task Force, and we spent quite a few months. We had the police chief, the sheriff, judges, and other people, and we put together a plan, and we addressed a number of issues: education, blighted areas. You just can't look at crime within a law enforcement perspective. So we put all this together. The late Dr. Labat and I presented it to the mayor and city council. They never adopted it. So what happens around here, we have a knee-jerk reaction from everyone every time something happens. So we've got to develop a comprehensive plan analyzing who's committing the crime. We need to know, you look in the newspaper, you know the gender and race, but what about the other factors that contribute to crime? Now, we're not gonna stop people from killing people, because if somebody wanna kill you, they'll find a way to do it. But I think that we have to develop a conduit to understand the nature of what's happening, but more importantly, we've got to be able to bring the community to the table and play a major role in doing this. Quit pulling your Venetian blinds down when you see something happening and won't tell the police. You've got to become involved. If you want your community to be safe, you've got to be a part of it.
Okay, well, number one, it being a businessman, I know a chain of command, and I wouldn't want to undermine my police chief. I think he's doing a good job. Now, do we need to do better? Yes. We need to work with him. We need to see what his needs are and make sure we fulfill those needs so that he can communicate to his officers. My job as mayor is not to go out and direct those police officers individually. That's why we hired a chief. He's a professional. I don't know policing. I never was trained as a policeman. I have to depend on the professional to handle his staff. Now, if he can't handle his staff, then it falls to the city council. I go to them and say, hey, he's not doing the job we need. What do y'all think? They're the only ones that can hire and fire. So we have to work through our council. And as far as getting guns off the street, I know I attended one of the fairs they had in the city gym in East Columbus, and I've talked to the police chief. They're getting the guns off the street, lots of guns off the street, but it's a consistent problem. I think that our overall police force, and not just the city, but we have other, we have the county that also helps in the drug area. I think that they're really doing a good job, and I think we've seen statistically that our crime rate has fallen, particularly violent crime.
Thank you. Next question, Mr. Strauss, I think you get to go first this
Okay.
time. Perception is reality. That's the old saying. The perception is that Columbus is not safe. How do you address that perception?
Well, you're right about the perception. The perception is that it's not safe, and I'm not going to tell you that every area of the city is safe. I think that it's being addressed. I think the cameras are going to help. I think we need to keep pushing technology. Technology is a big answer to policing today, and it's just a major tool. Over the past few years, we had camera systems that, whenever something happened, they didn't work. I mean, I had a camera system installed on my building, and I solved several incidents, and they would come to me and say, you got a video of this? I said, yeah, I've got it. And so we've got to make sure that not only do we have the technology, we've got to make sure it works. And if that seems to be a major problem, is we invest in things in this city and then nobody follows up and to make sure that we're actually getting our money's worth and to make sure that things are kept in good order and working efficiently. It's not going to do us much good if we invest and we don't have good working equipment.
Okay. Thank you. Mr. Brooks, do you want me to repeat the question? Or
No.
Okay.
Part of the perception goes back to the lack of good leadership. If you've got good leaders and they're out interacting in the community and trying to dispel some of the perception, some of them are real and some is perception. The reality of it is, yes, we have crime in the neighborhoods. The reality is that we've got to look at some of the symptoms of it. We've got to kind of work with our young people. We've got to try and look out for jobs for these kids. We spend a lot of time talking about playing ball. At a certain age, it's time for you to go to work. But I think part of this perception is that you have poor leadership that's not out in the community trying to dispel this, because in some instances, they've contributed to the perception. And so you can't have elected officials up there breaking the law and expect for the public to be what they are. So we've got to do what we've got to do. So it's necessary to get good people in office. And I tell you, I represent a different perception, is one that will be tough on crime and let people know if little Johnny get out in the street and act crazy, there are consequences.
can I say something real quick? I mean, if we have a chance to rebut here, I mean, not a rebuttal, just a comment to his.
Well,
Next
you'll have
time.
2 minutes to
Okay.
answer the
Okay.
next question.
Okay.
Mr. Brooks, speaking of little Johnny behaving himself, in many conversations concerning crime in Columbus over the past few years in particular, giving the youth something to do usually comes up as a preventative measure. What specific initiatives can the city lead, should the city lead in making this happen? And we'll start with you.
I think there are a number of things that, you know, at one time, the police department had a police athletic league where they work with youth and youth begin to look up to policemen. They don't do that anymore. I mean, in many instances, they don't look up to authority any kind of way. I think part of what needs to happen, we need to have youth summits, sit down, get input from these young people and see what are some of the things they want to do. You know, we always want to develop plans, but we don't get their input. And so, you know, for years I worked with youth, had a couple of youth organizations that were very successful. And so it takes a while to build that kind of trust and camaraderie. So I think we could use our recreation department to do a host of things for young people. You know, and young people are always going to say there's nothing to do. We all said that too. And so we need to understand what it is we want them to do. But it goes back to the fact is the family's got to play a major role in disciplining their children, because if the family doesn't, the police department will. So it can't all be put on the police department. It's going to take this whole community to interact with our children to try and save them from crime and a terrible way of life.
Thank you, Mr. Brooks. Mr. Strauss.
Would you ask the question again?
Many conversations concerning crime in Columbus over the years have dealt with giving the youth something to do as a preventative measure. What specific initiatives do you think the city can lead to make that happen?
Well, we need to be a leader in the youth, in the parks and recreation, get them things that they can do to keep them busy. You know, in the mayor's office though, you know, I think we're delving into things that really aren't part of what we do. I think that, you know, the mayor has got to be, we've got to run the city. We've got youth organizations, we've got a rec department, we've got places that are in charge of the youth. There again, we've got to go through this chain and we've got to encourage those leaders, you know, to keep our youth entertained, keep them off the street. But I think we're getting into areas that are not part of the mayor's job. You know, you know, I'm a boots on the ground guy, and I go around the community and I like to see what's going on. But you know, as a general rule, the constituents that I talk to have a very positive attitude. We have the problem in City Hall. We don't have the problem on the street so much as we have it in City Hall. So we need to change the attitude of our politicians, and I think that our city attitude will improve. And hopefully, when the youth see a positive attitude, they'll respond also.
This question is from the audience. What can be done to attract a larger variety of retailers and restaurants to the city? This is from David Chisholm. Thank you so much. Let's go with Mr.
Well,
Brooks.
I think there are a number of factors that retailers look at, and one of the things people may not know is that actually developers play a major role in attracting retail. I think the community has to understand that retail as we once knew it, those days are gone. You know, people are shopping online. A lot of retail development include apartments and medical offices. So, but again, it goes back to the leadership in the community, where the mayor is the symbol of what the city is. The mayor needs to be the person out front as an ambassador to say, bring an Olive Garden to Columbus, and then be able to articulate all the reasons. We've got plants, people making a lot of money. If they can afford to go to Tupelo and Tuscaloosa, they can afford to go here. The problem is when they look at City Hall and everything that's going on, they say, I see you. So as your next mayor, I would be an ambassador reaching out to the retail market and say, look, we've got all these plants in Lowndes County. Come and evaluate our community and let's find a place for you to build, and if you build it, they'll come, because we do love to eat.
Okay, well, this is a good example pointing out the difference between the two of us. I am a man on the streets, and I have a whole phone here of different businesses who have opened in Columbus. It is so long you can't even believe it. And remodeled. These are private citizens who have put forth their treasure, their time, and take the risk to open businesses in this community. I mean, if I had about 10 minutes, I could read it. But I want to give you a few. Garrett and Company, Sweet Magnolia, Stitches Boutique, 1514 Caffeine just opened across the street. They plan to do a take and bake pizza. They plan to do a restaurant next door. But none of our, and I'm not talking about just Mr. Brooks, none of our city councilmen even know these stores exist. They don't walk downtown. They don't see who's opened here. They don't see all the building going on. And we can spread this to the whole city. The whole property group, they're working on it. They're gonna grow us more of the national companies, bigger companies. But we have so many companies who have opened up. It's just unbelievable. And I mean, catch me afterwards. I want to show you all this list. It's phenomenal. You know what? Most of our city council, and I don't know, Mr. Brooks even knows, we have 220 apartments over the buildings in downtown Columbus. Now, in all the years since I built mine, 20 years ago almost, I've had maybe one or two politicians, city council, mayor, even come to see them. They don't even know what exists in this town. How can you be a mayor of a town if you don't even know what your citizens are doing? We had the lights put up by the CVB. We had the lights put up by Main Street. We have made our city bright and cheerful. We're getting new restaurants. We've got a couple more that are going to open soon. So, I mean, they're coming. We've got to make our city better to provide more opportunity.
Thank you for that. Another question when it comes to economic development. Tupelo is known for being Elvis Presley's birthplace, and Starkville has MSU. What do you think Columbus' biggest strength is, and how would you market the city better? Mr. Strauss.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Our strength is our people. Now, how do we market it? We market it through the W. We market through the Tennessee Williams. We have a fantastic air base here. We also, out of my building, we run Airbnbs. We have people coming in all the time from all over the country. Columbus has got a good reputation everywhere but in the city itself. We're hurting ourselves by the negativity. We need to elect more positive officials. We need to elect officials who really care. But our private citizens are our key to moving our city forward. The national companies, they're going to follow a set of rules. They're going to come here based on income, but our citizens are the ones that need to invest, that are investing in our community. And the more vibrant we become, the more the companies outside will see. Now, they've done a great job. I call it the economic miracle in West Lowndes. I mean, it's phenomenal what's going on there. But every bit of that that's going on there is going to come into the city, because there's really nowhere to shop in the county. It's very, very limited. So it's all going to come in here. We've just got to be ready when it gets here. And they're gearing up. We have a new plant that's opening soon. ADI, Lumen Dynamics is opening, and that should hopefully bring a swell of new people. And things, as far as business goes in town, things are good. So we just need to pass that positivity on.
I've already talked to the CVB, Main Street, the Arts Council, and other groups involved in promoting cultural activities. I think we need to sit down and develop some strategies to promote this community as a performing center. I was impressed at something down at Delta State. We can work to use the Clyde Rent Center at Mississippi University for Women to bring in major plays that want to bring people here. I think the community needs to get behind the type festivals that we have, because we have to understand Everyone don't want to go to a country and western or a blues or a pilgrimage. So we've got to develop some strategies to attract people here. And we have the mechanisms in place, we have the people with the expertise, but we haven't had an elected official or a mayor that can bring them to the table and dream about what this ought to look like. We've got an amphitheater that's set out there, I guess, what, 20 years now?
10.
It seems that long. In the 8 years that it's not completed, it was a poorly planned thing, but I tell you, Leroy Brooks as your mayor will look for ways to complete that, and we're gonna bring in some top-notch entertainment, and the soccer complex, we got a great soccer complex, we got a great sportsplex. Let's go out in the country and do a festival in the prairie, out at the sportplex. It's something I've been involved in for over 40 years, promoting culture activities, bringing in major groups, sponsoring festivals. I don't have to relearn this. When I walk in the door, I already understand how it's done.
All right, thank you. Next question is, looking at the city's unemployment, how do you believe the city should approach job recruitment with the league? Mr. Brooks, my apologies.
I have a fantastic relationship with the Link. I've served on the Link board before elected officials had to be removed. I've worked constantly with Joe Higgins. Every major plant that's come to this community, I've been at the table to help consummate the deal. So I understand the city council has refused, and you've even had council members who's openly criticized the Link. And it's that kind of foolishness that have caused us problems. The day that I'm sworn in as mayor, one of the first places I'm going is to meet Joe Max and say, Joe Max, you've got a mayor that you can work with, so let's sit down and develop a plan to move the city forward. You've done a great job in the county, so it's all about dialogue, it's all about working together. That's the advantage of having been in office so long. You know everybody. I don't have to learn my way around. The day I'm sworn in, I can make this happen, at least begin the dialogue.
Mr. Charles.
Well, you know, the county has done a good job, the Link's done a great job on that. We, you know, as a city, we have the festivals, we have things, and this is kind of going back a little to what he said before. We have festivals that Mr. Brooks doesn't even know about. We have one of the top festivals in the South in Market Street Festival. We constantly have things going on from Barbara Bigelow keeping the town active. And these are things that none of our councilmen publicize. They don't put it out on their sites. I don't understand why. But we have a Wassail Fest. We draw, I mean, literally thousands of people into town. You know, we have a lot going on. Now, as far as working with Joe Max, I have a great relationship with Joe Max. You know, he's not really, honestly, you can tell by if you talk to him, if you listen to his speeches, he's not interested in the city. He's got his job to do. He's doing a great job. He's bringing in industry to our county, and that industry will flow with jobs to our city. We've got to be prepared to take advantage. As a realtor, we're losing people to the city because we don't have the housing. And also, you know, it's a problem with our council. We've had a problem that we have that perception. But we're actually losing housing to West Point and major to Starkville. So, you know, that's, we need to change those things around for sure.
Thank you, Mr. Strauss, and you segued nicely into the next question, which you'll be
Okay.
answering first. Mr. Higgins with the Link has said publicly that executives for the plants that are being built in Lowndes County are moving to Oktibbeha County and
Right.
Starkville. The Starkville mayor has said also publicly that her city intends to capture as many of the new ADI workers as residents in Starkville as her city possibly can. So you talked about that being a problem. What's the strategy for better competing for those residents and others when you've got you know, when you've got people telling you, you're bleeding residents, and you've got other cities telling you, we're coming for them.
Well, we've got a good school system. The unfortunate thing is it's not located close to where the workers are. And that's something that we're gonna have a hard time changing. As we get more development in West Lowndes, we'll have more people moving over this way. Now, we do, you know, they're right, he's right. The executives are not coming here. We're not selling the houses that we used to. They used to come to Columbus first. And a lot of that has come about as the perception of the city, and I say perception because I don't think it's the reality, but the reality is if they're not buying a home here, it doesn't matter what, you know, if they're perceiving what they perceive, they're going somewhere else. So there again, the mayor of this city needs to change that perception. And that's what I think I can do. I've got a positive attitude on this city. I love this city. This city has been my home for the greater part of my life. And like I said, my family grew up here, so I have a deep connection. And I'm gonna make this city the best that we can make it. And our people will hopefully be able to interact with those executives, bring them in here. We have a lot of good realtors here, and hopefully we can start convincing that Lowndes County is the place to be.
I'd like to make a correction first. Mr. Strauss says there are things going on I don't know about. I don't think so. If it's happening in this town, I know about it. But however, you know, one of the harsh realities that we're gonna have to face, we're not gonna be able to get everyone. You know, it's hard to compete against Starkville when you got Mississippi State over there, and you got baseball, and you got winning teams, you got footballs, you got great strip malls, you got a lot of things going, and you got great leadership. So I think the beginning of trying to get people to locate here is they've got to see leaders that exemplify what they believe in. You pick up the newspaper or you turn the television on and you've got city council members up there berating employees and shouting and hollering, you're gonna go to Starkville too. We're gonna change the decorum of the way things are done in City Hall. And as I suggested to you before, I'm gonna walk out like this all the time so I can create the image that, hey, this is a man in charge and understand what he's doing is I can reach out to you, come and see. Let's sit down and talk. We're not going to get it all, but we want our portion, and that part is you've got to have a great ambassador. I've said that the table would have lauded this. I understand the dialogue. When PACCAR Board of Directors came from all over the country, I was there with them. They know Leroy Brooks. And so I will be the ambassador. You know, I'll go to Starkville and say, look, you need to come over here. They over there trying to get the math and science school, so I'll cross the line and try and get some of their folks.
I think that's a little tall tale there.
That's the confidence I have in myself.
Okay.
To continue with economic development, first and foremost, is there a voice at the table when it comes to the meetings that you are having to get a lot of the industries here to Lowndes County? And the reason why I ask that, because do you believe spending $72,000 per year on a lobbyist was a good use of taxpayers' dollars? Why or why not, Mr. Strauss?
You know, as a newcomer, I've not sat at that table, so I can't give you an answer on that. Now, as far as paying lobbyists, I think that if you have a good lobbyist, they're worth their money. If you have a bad lobbyist, it's like everything else. If you're not getting your money's worth, you need to fire them and find someone new. But now, as far as bringing industry, I've not sat at that table. I'm a newbie on that. There are some things I need to learn. I don't know everything. And I don't pretend to know everything, but I know how to research, and I know how to figure out, and I know how to do. I know the mechanics of things. You know, I don't have to worry about, you know, if something doesn't work at the homeless shelter, getting a call in the middle of the night saying, or getting a call during the day and saying, you know a plumber? And I know, you know, I know who to tell them. And, you know, I know those things. I know where to go to get things fixed, how to do it, and I see what's going on, and I see what we need as far as, you know, things that need to happen in this area. But as far as sitting at the table for industry, obviously I've not done that.
Wait 1 second, hold on. If elected mayor,
Yes.
would you be sitting at that table? Because
Well, if
Columbus,
elected
the city
mayor,
of Columbus
absolutely.
needs a voice.
Well, if elected mayor, absolutely, I would be sitting at that table. But now, you know, there again, I'm gonna defer to the professional. I'll be standing behind Joe Max, and I'll be egging him on for anything we can get, and we'll work with him any way that we can. But he's the professional. He's got so much experience, and he's brought, I think, $10 billion worth of plants out there. Now, before Joe Max got here, there was, in fact, in Joe Max's word, there was 2 railroads, a river, and a highway, and a lot of farmland. So, you know, until he came, none of that industrial development even happened. So I fall behind the professional, and he's a professional. I'll be with him every step of the way.
Mr. Brooks?
Well, I can say this. I've sat at the table with Joe Max. And when you talk about all the plants that have come to Lowndes County, guess what? They're all in District 5. And I've ridden around that area. I grew up in that area. I understand the dynamics of that area. So I'm already at the table. I don't have to go through this learning process. But for the city to be spending $72,000 and they're not getting anything, it's a reflection of what the city does. They spend money without any understanding of the results because they just spend because they think it's their money. You have legislators, you have Representative Kabir Kareem, Andy Boyd, Dana McClain. Those are the people you go to Jackson to speak for you. So why are you going to pay a person that's going to bypass your elected officials to get you something? The truth of the matter is, he hadn't brought much here. And so while they're debating whether they ought to renew the contract, is they just need to zip it. But that's the way they do things. It's the same reason you got an amphitheater out there and you got other things that are not completed because leadership has no sense of what's going on. That's the reason they voted on a $20 million grant, then came back and said, I didn't know what was in it. Because it's poor leadership, and I'm not being critical. The good book says the truth will set you free. And so I'm trying to get y'all free tonight to understand we need to move in another direction.
So we have an audience question. Mr. Strauss, this will be directed to you. How do you plan to get someone like me involved in the city? And this is from Annis Cox, and I hope that is correct.
Well, Annis, you know, if you're interested in going into business, you know, if you're just a citizen, we have a lot of citizens that go around town, and some of them, you know, contribute a lot, and some of them just go around picking up garbage, and you know, we love them all. That's a real benefit to the community. They keep it clean, they keep it nice, and but if you're interested in going into business, you know, we've got a lot of opportunity there. You know, if you have the initiative, you know, the sky's the limit. Like I said, we're counting on our private citizens to come forward with ideas, and our city can assist. Our Main Street can assist. Our CVB can assist. We have lots of you know, opportunity there for people. You know, just bring the ideas. We'll keep working to get business in here. I'm all the time. You know, I think a major thing we should do is try and get local people to expand their businesses. And you know, we've gone. You know, we got to go out. We've got to visit other businesses, maybe in other cities, and bring them in. One of our realtors purchased a building downtown and took the time to go to another city and get a restaurant that I think y'all are going to be real happy with, and hopefully it's going to be announced soon. But that's the initiative of our citizens are taking, you know, and they're making this city better. And we can't count on those outside grants coming. You know, that's especially with the administration, with the, I guess with Doge now. You know, a lot of that stuff's probably going to get cut. So we have to depend on ourselves, but we have the engine to drive our city. We've just got to have the initiative to start new business, shop with our local business. Don't buy everything from Amazon. I don't even have an Amazon account. And my girlfriend does. We get boxes every day, but I don't have an Amazon account because I'd rather shop locally. I went to Jim's and bought a new suit. Okay? And they were the nicest
right.
people.
Mr.
Shop local.
Brooks,
The same question.
same question.
Ms. Cox, and to everyone that's out there that's interested in being a part of what's gonna happen in this city, my door will be open. You can come and we can talk about how you wanna participate, whether it's some ad hoc committee or whether it's a board. You know, we need to change up some of these boards because people have been there so long, they think that they own the boards. We need some fresh blood into our system. We need a new infusion of everyday people. And if this community is going to be great, it's going to be because all of us are going to put our hands in it and make it great. Remember, I was telling you about a beautiful house that's crumbling. I need all of y'all to help me build this house again. So I will make a way for people, everyday people. You don't have to be college trained, PhD, just everyday guy that say, look, I want to be involved. We're going to create a conduit that you can be a part of rebuilding this city into what we want it to be.
And I'll come to the people and I'll ask you what you need. I was out in East Columbus the other day and they told me what they needed. Yes,
Let's
ma'am.
move on to our next question. We talked, that amphitheater has been brought up several times tonight, and so the next question is kind of a two-parter, but what do you see as the long-term plan for the Terry Brown Amphitheater? And should someone or an agency be hired to champion, lead the charge, and bring the amphitheater up to par and lure development around the site? Mr. Brooks.
Zach, you will be surprised that question you asked, I sent it back. I don't know how much money the city have, but there's a lot of things more important to me than the amphitheater. And so one of the things I would like to explore is whether there is someone out there that would want to lease it or buy it with the city getting some kind of compensation, is that it was not a well thought out plan. The amphitheater is great. Some of y'all go to Atlanta, Tuscaloosa, because you like good entertainment. But you don't put an amphitheater in a place that floods with no place to sit, and you spend millions of dollars and don't build dressing rooms. But the answer to the question is, on my list of things I would want to do, it's not at the top. And so I would be exploring what options we have with some entertainment company or some individual to say, are you interested in leasing this, completing it, buying it? I don't know what the laws will say on that, but I'm not interested in taking $4 or $5 million out of the city coffer when you got flooding everywhere and you got crime, you got these other things. We can dance later.
Mr. Strauss.
Well, the facts are that the amphitheater's there and it's partially complete. We have, I understand we have about $1 million coming to go towards that amphitheater. They say that we need $4 million to complete it. I don't agree with that. We used to have wonderful concerts right under the river bridge. They brought a porta potty out, they brought food trucks, and they set up the band under the river bridge, and everybody brought a seat with them. And we had a great time. We had big crowds. So we have a partially completed amphitheater. With $1 million, I tell you, I can find a way to get enough seats in there. We don't need 3,500 seats all at once. We're not going to fill that up. We can get enough seats in there. We can get toilets in there, and we can get a sound system in there for $1 million. I promise you, that won't be a problem. And we can start doing functions there and start using it. And then as we're able to, we'll do better, and we'll make it a better place. Now, as far as the flooding goes, that was poor planning. We do have a lot of poor planning in this city, but that won't happen under my mayorship because I'm going to be looking at everything. It's not going to go through if I think it's poor. I hope. You know, of course, we some things we're saying that we can do. We're kind of tied to the city council. We can't do all the things we say we can do unless we have the support of the citizens and we hire new city councilmen Throw the old ones out, let's get some new people. We have a lot of people who have stepped up this time, new people, and they're willing to come forward, but we as citizens, we have to elect them. And go out and vote, that's what you have to do. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Strauss. Now, this is staying with quality of life. Neil Schaefer presented a joint city-county parks plan last month. I believe both of you were at that presentation, so you've seen it. What parts of that plan do you like most, and how should they be implemented? And then what elements do you think won't work and why? And we'll start with you.
Well, I think their plan is good, albeit it looks a little too late. It looks like most everything was implemented before the plan came in. But after the meeting, I stayed and I spoke with one of the speakers, and I asked him. I said, "Look, I'm all for Probst Park. You know, maybe I wish it would have been done a little different because I felt like we could have had more citizen involvement in the park, more tennis courts, more pickleball, walking tracks, more that the citizens can get involved in. The majority of it right now is aged, T-ball to 13. Then they start doing the city." But, I just, the thing that I asked him was, okay, we're gonna give this a go. The money, it looks like it's done, it's a done deal. Let's give it our best shot. But what if it doesn't draw the people that we need? What if if the people just don't show up? What if they don't have 10 teams in there? And we're not getting much participation, we've spent all this money. We need to be able to pivot. And I think they said we can take what's being done there, we can pivot into more tennis courts. Maybe we have tennis tournaments. We can pivot into more pickleball. Maybe we have pickleball tournaments. Those tournaments, like the soccer tournaments, bring in just a load of people. They had like a frisbee football the other day that I attended. I know nobody else was there because there wasn't anyone else in the city that attended, I don't think, except Tom Balick. He was there. But we can bring in those events into the city, and we can generate income in our city for our restaurants, for our hotels, and for our businesses. We've got to be willing to pivot if it doesn't work out. But give it a good shot now. It's done. Let's give it our all and hope it does succeed.
I think one of the great tragedies of our recreation program is that over the years we have spent millions of dollars to promote baseball and softball. Why haven't we thought about the young girls that may want to be a gymnast or a host of things? There are a lot of kids just not interested in that. We've got to develop programs that allow everyone the opportunity to nurture their skills. We are seeking money to try and build a multi-purpose building out at the Sportplex. Unfortunately, I probably won't be there when we get the money because I hope to be over in City Hall. But splitting up these programs was a bad idea. I believe in neighborhood parks. The reason I believe in neighborhood parks, because they've worked. People need to go back to the neighborhood so they can develop an attachment to the neighborhood, so they can feel part of the community. And we can't move everything out of the neighborhood and allow these parks to sit here and become desolate. That's how you develop pride. Adult baseball, adult softball, other programs in the neighborhood. We have great community centers. We've got to get the people in place to make things happen. Anytime you do a master plan, guess what? It costs master money. And so a lot of these plans go on the shelf because in order to do all the things we want to do, we need money and we just don't have it. So we've got to go through there and pull those things out that's going to make a difference in the community. And my thinking is some of the smaller things, because you're trying to change the quality of life. And so that's the way we move on that.
A follow-up to that, blight and abandoned buildings remain an issue in some neighborhoods. How will you prioritize blighted properties like the Kerr-McGee site that pose safety hazards such as fire risk or crime hotspots? What steps will you take to address this problem, Mr. Strauss?
Well, the Kerr-McGee site's a real problem. They tell us that we've got 20 or 30 acres that's usable, and I think that the citizens are hesitant to use that property, and it's right across the street from, what's still contaminated. It would be nice if if whatever, super fund they're using, if they would go ahead and clean it up. Now, some of the citizens, some of the people in the community are saying, well, if we go ahead and we develop over there, then there'll be a reason for them to, to go ahead and clean the other part. They're talking about green energy, solar. Well, I think, solar energy, hey, if you want to put a solar field somewhere, I think that'd be a great place to put a solar field. That being said, most of what we're planning appears to be, just that. We plan a lot, but we don't do a lot. We've got to invest in our community and actually take the money that we use for planning and put it towards something useful. There again, we may be getting out of our purview as what we can do as mayor, and we're talking more about what we need to do as a city, not what the mayor will do. And I think that, I think we might need to get a little more back to what we can do, as being the mayor. And then that's where I feel like I'm gonna be strong, because I'm going into the community and I'm gonna see what they need. I'm gonna work with the other people who are in this community, maybe areas that I'm not familiar with, but I know people who are more familiar with that area. I'm gonna use their expertise. I'm gonna use everyone's expertise that I can use to do the best that I can do for our city, with our budget that's allowed.
One of the things I keep hearing is about what the mayor ought not be doing. That's where leadership come in. Strong leadership means you step out on areas that you're not supposed to and you make things happen. Now the city has, I understand, about $6 million that they've gotten to clean up blighted areas. They've had this money for quite a while. Now, I can't criticize them because I don't know all the reasons, but I would think if you were able to get $6 million to clean up dilapidated houses, it ought to be some houses going down. So I don't know whether it's setting up their joint interest. I don't know what the problem is, but the $6 million is a fact. When we put the crime prevention report together, that was one of the areas we addressed. Clean up these blighted houses because kids are going in there doing all kinds of illegal things. Now that's been a couple of years ago. They've had money. Crews went to Washington, got money. I don't know where it's sitting somewhere. But we need to clean this community up. Now as far as Kerr McGee, I don't have all the knowledge about what's going on over there. All I keep hearing is about a $20 million grant and we're going to put all this and that over there. And the thing that concerned me most is that the city council voted to submit the grant and now they're saying that's a bad idea. You don't need to put anything over there. That's the kind of foolishness that we're having to deal with because there is no methodical approach to governing. Running a city is a practical thing.
Thank you. Next question is it time to annex now or wait until the city can fully provide services to areas that have previously annexed?
Well, again, we had the city council who spent thousands of dollars on a proposed annexation, and the reality was it was never about the value of the community. It was an effort to bring in some more African American to enhance the vote for the city councilman that's running. And so when I raised the issue and it got exposed in the community, they backed off, but they spent thousands of dollars. They were bringing in an area that by all economic indicators were going to take us downhill. It was going to enhance poverty, just a whole litany of things, but yet they pressed forward. We've got to, we meaning whether it's the link, the mayor, the board of supervisors, the leadership has to sit down and analyze what is the best area to bring into the city, but more importantly, we don't need to bring anything in and we can't take care of what we got. I mean, I can't go buy a Mercedes-Benz when I can barely drive an Acadia. So it's just good common sense. When we recognize we can do better, we do better. Right now, I don't know the financial condition of the city, but I don't think annexation needs to be one of those things.
I don't think, with the current way the city is, I don't think we need annexation at this time. Ultimately, I think there's no doubt that either we need to make a decision as a community to become the business center, or you know, whether we want to be business and residential. As it stands right now, we're losing out on the residential. Our population is aging. Our housing is aging. In the city last year, there was about $2.9 million worth of new residential construction. Now in the county, it was $39 million worth of new residential construction. So we know where everyone's moving. You know, there's different reasons why they're moving. I think most of them probably are moving for the better schools. But we need to decide as a community, if we're gonna be the business area of town, then we probably don't need to annex it at this point. But we need to bring in new businesses to bring in new revenues, because we are bringing in more retirees. If they come into town to live around the hospital, and that's a good thing. It's much cheaper to live in the city. The county's very expensive. So, you know, we've got to make up our minds which way we want to go.
And this will be our last question from the quality of life category. And Columbus, like many cities nationwide, seeing a rise in the homeless population. We just recently had a warming shelter that was pretty well used during the cold weather. What steps should the city take to comprehensively meet the homelessness crisis? And we'll start with you, Mr. Stroud.
You know, I think steps are being taken. Susan Garden has got a program where they're building tiny homes for people that, well, they may not necessarily be homeless, but yeah, they're homeless basically. They're moving them in, and I think they're allowed to stay up to 6 months. I think that's an excellent idea. And they have a nice, warm, safe place they can stay in where they can get back on their feet. I live in downtown. You know, we don't really have that big a homeless problem downtown. We try and take care of the ones that are there, you know, as best we can. But yeah, it's a problem, I'm sure, citywide, and we do need to address that, and have more shelters where they can go and get a second chance. Now, we also have a lot of private organizations that specialize in that. And I think if we're gonna, we need to advocate for them. We need to give them, even if we might have to give some funding so that they can get their programs. There again, they're much better at it. You know, a politician, not very good. It's a lot of social issues. So sometimes we're better off turning that to the professionals and letting them handle it. And we take care of the city's business.
Zach, you know, we take a knee-jerk approach to dealing with the homeless issue. A lot of these people have mental problems. So we're going to talk about trying to eradicate homelessness in our community. We've got to bring the right people to the table, community counseling, and a host of organizations. Then we have to deal with some of the mental issues. Just giving a person a place to stay for 2 or 3 days and putting them back on the street is not an answer. I would support more funding to the homeless coalitions and other groups that deal with that, because they have more time to deal with that. You know, I think that's the conduit. But not just open up a building every time it gets cold, or open up a building every time it gets hot. Let's sit down and understand the dynamics of what we're dealing with, and come up with some strategies and be willing to fund them the best that we can. Rather than just saying, okay, I'm gonna put you up here tonight. We failed miserably at addressing that issue.
Thank you. So we're now moving on to the topic of administration. So, Mr. Brooks, what key qualities and experience will you prioritize when selecting members of your administration, such as department heads and advisors?
Well, you know, I've put in all my literature, and I've stated it publicly, I would like to take 60 days and do an assessment of the internal operation of the city. I would like to do a retreat. Get the council members, the department heads, and I'm a country boy, so we say get out in the woods. Get out in the woods and have a discussion. I would want each department head to tell me their strengths and their weaknesses, and I would give them a time frame to put together what they're doing, what they propose to do, and a timetable. And if we can't get on the same page, then we may have to look for someone else. I'm not going in wanting to change department head of people. I don't want to just say I'm going to do that. However, if you can't do what you need to do, then we have to consider that. Yes, my theme is moving in a different direction. And if it takes new people, but people need their job. But I expect people to do their job. Once you clock in, I'm not interested in all that foolishness. I'm interested in you carrying out what it is we want to do in the city. We're going to have a plan. We're going to have some goals. And we're going to give you the opportunity to fit in. And so 60 days will be the time we will do an assessment of all the departments, along with the city council being there, and we're going to see where the weaknesses are. You know, I hear people say this, and that. I don't want to be critical of any city employee until I get an opportunity to interact with them myself. I do see some things that are questionable, but again, the one thing that's good is I have that skill set. I've gone around the state. I've gone to other places. I served on the state Main Street board to go in other communities to make assessment of the community. So we're not going to have to hire all these consultants. We're going to go in and we're going to develop a plan of action.
Well, you know, I haven't gone all around the state to look at what others are doing. My plan is to hit the road and work with our department heads. That's what our mayor is supposed to do. We're tasked to work with our department heads, figure out what it is they need. If they don't respond, then we need to look to another angle. Now, we do have a problem. I'm used to a chain of command where I had a process where I could hire and fire. And we have a city charter that we have a city council. They do the hiring and they do the firing. Now, you know, it's not going to stop me from working with them, and I'm going to work with the council so that we can put together a plan to make sure that our city workers are doing the job that they're supposed to be doing. Now, I don't think there's anything wrong with our city workers. I think they do a good job, but I think they're just not getting the proper leadership. Everybody needs leadership, and that's where my strength lies, is boots on the ground in the community, giving that proper leadership to those employees of the city so that they can do their job better. I'll know what they need. They'll know that somebody cares about the work, and they'll know that somebody is watching. Trust but verify. That's a good motto.
Thank you. Next question, Nell. This is a strong council and weak mayor form of government in Columbus. How do you plan to work with the council to pass initiatives on your agenda, Mr. Strauss?
Well, you know, I think that I'll be able to work well with the council. I don't know who's going to be on the council at this point. I don't think I've infuriated as much as my competitor here. And you know, so that may make it a little more difficult for him to work with some of them. But I guess I, like him, hope that we do get some, you know, that the citizens say, hey, enough's enough. We're going to get good people who care about the city, you know, rise up, vote in some new folks, you know. But if the citizens decide that who's in there is what they want, then I'm willing to work with them. I'll work with each and every one of them. In fact, not only will I work with them, but at the end of the first year, they'll be coming to me because I'm going to make them a hero. They're going to look great in the eyes of our citizens because they'll be doing their job and they'll get the credit for that job. And that's what I want. I want our city people to do the job that they know how to do. They just need a little experience to help them get that job done.
Joey, I am a twice trained leadership facilitator. I've done an extraordinary amount of training workshops, symposiums, so I understand the nature of bringing people together with a shared vision. In my mind, it's simple. You get the 6 city council members and we get together and we talk about what each of them are interested in. And we'll do around the clock. Okay, we may start with 50 things and we're going to narrow it down to achievable things. Everyone will have a chance to say, this is what I want to do in my ward, this is how I see city government, and we're going to stay there until we're all on the same page. So when we go to the city council meeting, we're not gonna be arguing about this, this, and that. Because we already will have taught. You know, it's not gonna be anybody heavy-handed. We will have decorum and protocol. And so everyone will have a chance to talk about what it is they wanna do and their vision for the city, and we're gonna make it one big vision. And so that's how you do it. You know, it's like when you and your wife disagree, you sit down and talk, normally they win, but at the end of the day, you've got to come to some point where you come together. The nature of politics is conflict and compromise. So we may start out with conflict, but we'll end up compromising.
Thank you, Mr. Brooks, and this will be our final question before we go into closing statements tonight. The city is sitting on $5 million capital improvement fund right now. What should the city's strategies be for leveraging that money? And we'll start with you, Mr. Brooks.
Zach, I can't state that because I don't have an understanding of all the things that, all the indebtedness, all the proposed programs. So it'd be hard for me to answer that. But I think there are people that have the expertise to help us talk about leveraging that money that can achieve some things. Not just spending money because we have it, money that at the end of the day, you can see the results. There are a number of things, need to happen. I think one of the greatest projects in this community is that proposed development over by the soccer field. Let's get that done, but let's bring in some people with the expertise, and they may have it in-house. I'm not gonna stand here and say I have that strong financial background, but I'm certainly open to trying to develop something that would be beneficial to this community.
Well, I did speak with Mr. Brigham today, and we do have $5 million that we're sitting on, but that's kind of we're kind of using that as a surplus. You never know when an expense is gonna come up that you need money for. We can't just run out and borrow every time we need something. We have paid our debt down a little bit. I think at one time he said we were in the 30 plus million, now we're down to about 28. But we need, just like the other night, the last city council meeting, I think the issue came up with a truck to vacuum out the gutters. And lo and behold, Casey Bush said that we hadn't had the truck for 9 years. They both broke, but nobody fixed it. That's an example of the leadership that we've had. It's not good when you don't know for 9 years. And when people ask for things that they need, we've got to make sure that we're able to get those. And by having that fund there, that enables us to get things that are really vital right away. We need to save some of that back, and what we need to do is the money that's coming in now, we need to be better stewards of our money. We need to make sure that our taxpayers get their money's worth out of what we're bringing in. Let's operate on the shoestring budget. See where our waste is, and get us back on an even path where we know we've got the money to do what we need. Hopefully we'll go out, we get some grants if we can. We hope we'll get a grant. We can't count on that. So we have to save back. I call it a rainy day fund, just in case there's things that we have to have that the city, is in desperate need of. As far as the project at the soccer field, that's a fantastic project, and hopefully we'll get that moving.
All right, thank you very much. Now is the time for our closing statements, and you both will have 3 minutes each for your closing statement. We'll start with you, Mr. Strauss.
Well, I appreciate everyone coming out tonight. Look, I'm not a politician. I don't speak as slick as Mr. Brooks. He's well trained, 40 years experience in it. He's good. He's done a good job at where he's been. But as far as being mayor of the city, we've got to have someone who's got more vitality, spunk. Get out there. I'm not going to be a one and done mayor. I'm going to be here for the long haul, and I'm going to put together a plan. I'm going to talk with our citizens, see what they need. I'm going to get our council together, and we'll plan together. I'm not going to go kumbaya with them out in the country, but we'll make a plan, and we'll put that plan in action, and that's how we're going to get it done. It'll be boots on the ground all the way. I'm going to energize our private business. We're going to try and get outside business here. We need to work with our CVB, our Main Street. You know, if we're a city official, I think we need to be a member of our CVB and our Main Street. We need to be a member. And some of our people running, most of our councilmen aren't. They don't even join in our city what's going on. I mean, these are our, you know, we count on Miss Barbara Bigelow. You know, we count on the guys at the CVB. You know, at the Link, we count on them, but we've got to get involved with all these groups, not just one group. We've got to be involved with all of them and get everybody working on the same page and, you know, hit the ground running. I don't need to assess things when I come in for 90 days because I'm going to get in there and I'm going to work with the people. I want to find out what they need, what they've been lacking, and I've already seen, you know, a lot of things that we need in the city. There's plenty more I haven't seen, but, you know, having that job every day, I'll be out there every day. I'll be in the businesses. I'll be in, you know, in the playgrounds. I'll be at the park. I'll be at the Riverwalk. I'll be there hands-on. That you can count on. You'll see me.
Well, let me straighten out some things. He used the word slick. That's eloquent. I'm eloquent. You know, my mom taught me, and if she was sitting out in the audience, she said, boy, you know better. Mama taught me to be humble and show humility, but when you're running for office, that's not a time to show humility. And he talked about the spunk. Meet me in the morning at 5 o'clock at the Y, because that's where I go every morning for 5 days. We can see what spunk is. And I guess the other thing I'm concerned about, Bill, if you're going to be in the playgrounds, out recruiting business, who's running City Hall? Hey, look, y'all, we're having fun. I'm enjoying running for mayor. I want to be your mayor. Do not sense my persona as arrogant. I'm just having fun. I'm not going to die if I don't win. I'm going to keep on pressing on. But there is no doubt in my mind that there is no other candidate with the qualifications that I have. I'm a former Air Force guy. In the Air Force, there's a word General Tango called AWOL, absent without leave, and I think that's where the other two candidates are, absent without leave. They're probably somewhere watching to try and figure out what they're going to do next. If you won't, how are you going to speak for the people if you won't speak to them? I call it cowardice. Yes, I said it. But what I'm telling you all is I am prepared to do what is necessary. I am prepared. If changes have to be made, I'll make changes. I understand where I am at this point in my life. But I bring to the table another thing none of them have, is wisdom. Now, I understand the pie in the sky and what I want to do and what they think they want to do and how they're going to do it. I know how it's done. I've been doing this for 41 years and I'm not tired yet. Most people would be going home. I'm trying to go to City Hall because people like you want to change because you're tired of this foolishness in our community. You're tired of being embarrassed because you got members up there trying to outrun the law. You're tired of council members browbeating employees. You want a mayor that's going to represent you any place in this United States. Go anywhere in Mississippi and mention the name Leroy Brooks and somebody's going to know me. Look at what, I don't go around bragging about what I've done, but I've been at the table with Joe Max. I don't have to worry about can I get a seat. I already got a seat. I've already worked with Barbara Bigelow and the CVB and all those things because I am an agent of change. In the old days of politics, they said, I am a maker and a shaker. Thank you all very much.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
If you all would, give them another round of applause.
Enjoyed it, Bill.
Thank you.
I want to thank them for coming out. I want to thank Tanya, Zach, Joy, thank you so much. We want to thank Issues